Hey everyone, it's Kayla with the Celebration Company, and I've got something fun for you today. But first, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. And also be sure to check me out on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram for a lot of other fun ideas just like this one. Let's make an adorable Uncle Sam today using a giant egg and some random materials that I pulled out of my craft space. So I'm starting with a little piece of galvanized metal that I had. Any kind of rectangular surface would do. And I'm going to just take some decoupage glue and apply it right to the surface of this piece. Now I'm using a napkin that I had. You could also use a piece of paper or some fabric, whatever it is that you have, to glue on top of this. I just want to give this a really fun patriotic look. So any kind of paper, napkin, or fabric that you have that you like will do for this. So we're just going to rub this on right over top of the glue. Now I'm going to use my sander and just go all the way around the edges to remove any excess napkin that is hanging off the edge. Now I'm going to apply another layer of decoupage glue onto the surface of this napkin, just covering the entire surface with a thin layer of glue. After that's dry, I'm going to use my Deco Art Burnt Umber to distress this surface. So I'm just applying some of my burnt umber onto the surface. And then I'm going to use a paintbrush and just very quickly just kind of spread this paint out all over the surface. This does not have to be perfect. And then we'll use a baby wipe to remove as much or as little of the paint as we want. It's really important that you apply that decoupage glue on top of that napkin before you start distressing. Otherwise, it's basically just going to turn your napkin brown. So by sealing it up, it prevents it from soaking all that glue in or all of that paint in, and then we just end up with a really pretty distressed look. Now I want to take the distressing a little further, so I'm using the color Milk Chocolate and a foam pouncer. And I'm just going to add some of that color just kind of around the edges and on the front, just in different spots. And this is going to act as our rust. So I put some on the surface of it. I put some on the edges, just kind of wherever feels right, wherever it feels like maybe it might have rusted at some point. Moving on to our hat brim, I am using 2 of the little planks from Dollar Tree. These come in a pack of 6. That's just what I had that worked best, but you can use whatever you have that's going to work. And I needed to glue them together, so I'm using 2 popsicle sticks that have hot glue on them, and I'm just gluing them together that way to create a long rectangular piece for the hat brim. Now I'm going to cover that hat brim with some fabric. I decided to use fabric to cover that seam a little bit, but you can use whatever you want. It can be paper, it can be fabric, it could be a napkin, whatever you have on hand. So I'm just taking a little bit of decoupage glue and going over the surface of that. And now I'm just going to apply my red fabric right onto the surface of the hat brim. Now I'm going to apply another layer of decoupage glue right to the surface of my fabric. And then we're just going to use a sander to remove any of the excess fabric from around the edges. And once again, we're going to distress this. So I'm using some burnt umber paint and just applying it right to the surface. Spread that around with a paintbrush or a foam brush, and then I'm also staining the edges of this piece as I do that. And then we'll remove as much or as little of the paint as we want with a baby wipe. Now I'm going to get started on the face. So I have my giant egg here. This is an egg door hanger. This is available on our website at thecelebrationco.com. I'm going to just lay this out. So I'm kind of applying my hat on here, just laying it out to kind of see where I want my face to be. So now I'm just going to grab a pencil and I'm just going to just kind of draw a face shape. So kind of like a half circle, maybe a little bit more than a half circle, right underneath the bottom of the hat. Now I'm going to use the color Natural Buff by Deco Art to fill in that area that I just drew out for the face. So I'm just kind of painting that in so that we have our face. I'm also going to paint a little circle, just a flat circle for the nose in the Natural Buff. Once the face is dry, I'm now going to paint the beard, and it's a little hard to see the face, but it's on there. So now I'm just using some white paint, and we're just going to fill in this beard, just tracing around that face that we painted. I'm also painting two little rectangles the same color white as the beard, and these little rectangles are going to be for the mustache. Once you have everything coated and it's good and dry, we're now going to do our cheeks. So I'm using some cheap blush from the Dollar Tree and a stencil brush. And I'm just coming right to the edges of the face there and making some round little circles of blush. Now, this blush ended up being a little too bright for my preference. So I decided to paint over it with a layer of the natural buff. I assumed that I would have to do another layer of a lighter blush, but after I got this painted, I really liked the way it turned out. Now, once I got the hat on, I decided that the beard was just way too bright white. So I used some burnt umber paint and just went over just the beard and not the face, just rubbing that all over the beard and then using a baby wipe to wipe away the excess. I also used the burnt umber to distress the pieces for the mustache. Now I laid everything on the egg so that I can get a feel for where I want to place my eyes. I'm going to use a large brush and some black paint and just make some dots for the eyes. I'm keeping this very simple and just kind of swirling the end of my brush around to create my two eyes. Just make sure you don't put them very far apart. They need to be fairly close together to make it super adorable. Okay, so now we're just going to start gluing everything on, starting with the mustache. And then we'll glue the nose right on top of the mustache. Use hot glue to apply the top part of the hat right onto the top of the egg. And then glue down the hat brim at the bottom part of the hat. And I like for this to be a little bit at an angle, but you can certainly do whatever feels right to you. Now you can embellish however you want to. I am using some rusty metal stars and gluing 3 of those to the top of the hat brim. And then I'm using the word USA that I had in my stash that I painted a navy blue to match the hat and applying that to the bottom of the beard just to give it a little more whimsy and a little more festiveness. And now you have an adorable Uncle Sam door hanger. You can add a hanger to the back of this or a piece of ribbon and hang it on your door, or it would be super cute just setting up in your home. Thanks so much for watching and hanging out with me today. Have a great day.